Shalom, dear members of the Cherry Lane Minyan. We are on Erev Chanuka. Tonight we are going to light the first night of Chanuka of the year 5784. So a few quick halachot, and then we're going to jump into our initiative of this year's Chanuka. Firstly, the most optimal time to light the Chanukiah tonight is going to be after 5:13 or 5:15 p.m. And we want to make sure that the Chanukiah lights for at least 30 minutes. That light should be on for at least 30 minutes. Number one. Number two, we make three berachot today. We make the first beracha, which is Lahadlik Ner Shel Chanukah. We make the second beracha, which is She'asa Nisim La'avotenu B'yamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh. And we make the third blessing, which is Shehayanu V'kiyemanu V'higyanu Lazeman Hazeh. According to the Sephardic halacha, one person makes the blessing for anyone else that will be lighting. So if you're going to have multiple benorot, Chanukiyot, you have one for the mom, one for dad, one for each child, that's perfectly fine. But one person above the age of bar or bat mitzvah should make the blessing, and then everyone else that's above bar or bat mitzvah should light. If you have little children and they want to make a blessing to practice how to make the blessings, that's perfectly fine. They could go ahead and do that. Important to note, the proper way to light the Chanukiah is going to be, first of all, light the candle that you're going to use to light all the other candles. So you have that first light of a candle that's not part of your Chanukiah, or if you want to call it the shamash, whatever you'd like to call it, no problem. Light that. Don't make any blessing yet. Now you're about to light the first night, so you're going to make the blessing of Lehadlik Ner Shel Chanukah, She'asa Nisim La'avotenu, She'ehayanu, and then you light the first light. Remember, this year we have initiative of olive oil. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But for now, you're going to light that first olive oil candle, and that's all we're doing tonight. Tomorrow we're going to add setting up from the right of the Chanukiah to the left of Chanukiah, and then lighting from the left of the Chanukiah, which is the newer candle, towards the right of the Chanukiah, with only two blessings tomorrow night and moving forward. And tomorrow recording, we'll talk about that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we're lighting in the proper place. We want to make sure we're lighting the proper time, and we want to make sure that we're lighting in the proper way. Next part is our initiative. Today's initiative, the first day of Chanuka, is to light the Chanukiah for all those who don't yet with olive oil. So by now, I'm sure you've gone to your local Judaic store, or you've gone to Everfresh, Shop Delight, or wherever else you could find olive oil, and prepared either olive oil out of the jar, or you bought the ready-made ones, and you're going to set your Chanukiah up to light with olive oil. And I want to bring to the surface a few very, very important reasons why. First of all, it is the best way to memorialize and commemorate the actual miracle that took place in the temple, in the Beit HaMikdash, during the story of Chanuka. And being that the miracle was with olive oil, therefore, the olive oil has a certain importance and a special element of power / energy / effect on us by lighting the Chanukiah with olive oil. So a few notes that I have over here that I want to talk about. The Chashmonaim were individuals who were the smaller amount of people that fought against the greater amount of people, the minority versus the majority. And with the grace of Hashem and the miracles that took place, they won the battles. The Chashmonaim were people that fought for the Jewish people and won the battle with the hand of God. We have an opportunity tonight and every night to tap into that energy of the Chashmonaim. The Chashmonaim were as follows. You have Matityahu ben Yochanan Kohen Gadol. You have Yochanan. You have Yehuda. You have Shimon. You have Elazar, and you have Yehudit. So write down those names. And when you're looking at the Chanukiah, and you're sitting by the Chanukiah, just gazing at that light and looking how beautiful that flame is just dancing and dancing and dancing, you're going to think about Matityahu. You're going to think about Yochanan Chashmonai. You're going to think about Yehuda. And you're going to think about Shimon, Elazar, Yehudit, and you're going to absorb their Kedusha, their holiness, from the light that you're looking on, and that gives us a tremendous amount of blessing. So that's the first thing you're going to do. The Rambam's father, the holy Rambam, we know Maimonides, his father says that there is a mitzvah and a segula to eat the fatty foods, or you want to call them the fried foods, or the sufganiot, or the latkes, or whatever your custom may be, sphinge, whatever your custom may be, and there's a reason for it. There's a segula to eat these oily foods for parnasa, and a segula for briut, for health, as much as you might think that it's counterintuitive, but ultimately it is, and he explains the reason why. The abundance of oil being that the oil is the miracle, brings in abundance for us. So when we're eating, which is our parnasah, our satiation, and we're eating foods that have that abundance of oil like we have in the menorah, he connects that as a segula and explains that by eating these foods, we're actually going to have more parnasah. So everyone should think and how they want to deal with this on a medical perspective, a health perspective. But ultimately, the Rambam's father shares with us that piece of advice. Consider it, and you should eat this during the moments of lighting. So you lit the Chanukiah, now you're sitting around, take a few bites of some delicious, yummy food. Okay, not a meal necessarily. That's not something you want to do. Just a bite of these foods. Next point, and the next segula that we could think about is the days of Chanuka are days of miracle. The energy of these 8 days has an energy of miracle. Pesach has salvation, Purim has happiness, and the miracle of defeat as well, that we defeat our enemy. And Chanuka has this miracle as well. The miracles that we can see specifically on Chanuka is the miracle of Parnasah. And I say miracle because when someone is in desperate need and someone needs a miracle in order for them to be able to establish their Parnasah, they can tap into that during the days of Chanuka. The miracle of health, Briut, the miracle of children. And when I say children, that means healthy children, happy children, and raising them by Torah ways so that they can have a good, righteous life. The Gemara tells us that anyone who lights the Chanukiah with olive oil, Havye lo banin tzadikim, will merit, just like the shemen, that oil, shemen zaitzach, which was used in the temple, was so pure, they will merit to pure children. And that's based on a chapter in Tehillim that David HaMelech Alav Hashem says that your eshtecha kegefen poria b'yarkiteh betecha, v'necha kishteli zitim sayud shochanecha. Your wife shall be like the blossoming vine of grapes around your table, and your children should be like olives, which is, of course, relating to the olive oil and the holiness that it was used in the Beit HaMikdash. And finally, another miracle and blessing that could come forth for us during the time of Chanukah is lekarev et hageulah, to bring Mashiach closer. So these are times that we could really tap into some great things. These are times that lighting with olive oil gives us, we receive, it's free, you light and you get. That's all you got to do is sit by the Chanukiah and stare at the light and say, Hashem, please give me. And finally, on the segulot, the olive oil, lighting with olive oil, opens up our heart to Hashem. Potech, it does what's called petichat halev. You know, sometimes we want to get closer to Hashem. We want to be inspired. We hear a shiur, we heard a lecture, and you know, they talk about doing this and doing that and getting closer, and we want to, but we struggle. So lighting with olive oil will open our heart to serve Hashem on a deeper level. And finally, potach et chokhmah, it also opens our minds to wisdom. I'd like to share you a story, and with this I'm going to end. There was an individual who, healthy fellow, woke up on the first day of Chanuka after he lit the night before, and he had blurred vision. He couldn't see. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he's not sure where this came from. He don't know why he had these symptoms, and he went to quite a few doctors that day, and they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure out why he has blurred vision, and they also couldn't figure out how to solve it. So he went to his Rav, and he said, listen, you have a mitzvah to light Chanukiah tonight, and you have a segula of health to stare, to gaze at the light after you light it for those first 30 minutes. Go stare at that light after you light it today and beg Hashem for refuah shelema, that you should be able to see better and regain your sight. And so he did. And so it happened. He was able to stand in front of the Chanukiah and pour his heart out to Hashem, cry to Hashem and say, Hashem, please give me back my sight. I want to serve you better. Please, in the zechut of the candles, please give me. And so we know that it is an opportune time to ask. So let's all of us make this effort today. We're going to light with the Chanukiah with olive oil. We're going to follow the halachot. We're going to pray to Hashem for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, and of course for our nation at large. And we're going to pray that the zechuyot that we're going to do is going to stand for all the people that I mentioned and our dear soldiers and hostages in Eretz Yisrael, and light up the world one day at a time. Thank you for joining me at this initiative, and Chag Chanukah Sameach.